So, hi, Catherine. Thank you so much for your time, for being here. We are so thrilled and happy to have you here.
I am so happy to be here. I'm loving this trip.
So, as I say, we are thrilled to have you as a keynote speaker at the PyCon Colombia, and we love to hear more about your journey and experience. So, can you share with us how you transitioned from being a chemical engineer to entering the world of software development?
Okay, yeah, the joke I give is that it was a freak accident. But, so I was an undergraduate in chemical engineering. I worked for a year in a company that does software for chemical engineers, but I was just doing C programming. And I am not good at it. In fact, it was a miserable job. So I left and went to get a graduate degree in chemical engineering. And instead of a graduate degree, I got older. And eventually the fellowship ran out and I didn't have the degree yet. And my wife was still in school, so I couldn't leave the area. So I was like, and there weren't really suitable employers, especially for somebody who didn't have the graduate degree. So I went to the temp agency and said, I can type 100 words a minute. So I started doing secretarial work. But they sent me to an engineering company. And so I was doing their secretarial work, but I gave them my resume saying, I'm actually an engineer. Wouldn't you rather have me doing engineering? And they said, that's really cool. We don't have any engineering needs right now, but we have a database administrator who is overworked and would like some help. We saw that you once did some C. Would you like to start doing that? And I was like, sure, I'll do it. And a month after that, the database administrator left. And then it's like, you're the DBA. And I didn't even know, well, I didn't know enough to know that I should have been terrified, especially because this was in '99 when databases were very fragile. Yeah. It was very easy to lose the whole thing. I didn't. I got through that job and I never lost the database, so that was cool. And that kind of like transitioned me into a database administrator. And then later on I added Python to the mix. And I was like, oh yes.
Now Python is my way.
Yes.
Oh, that's a nice experience. So being chair, let's talk about PyOhio. So being chair of PyOhio must have been an incredible experience. So could you please tell us what it was like and share the most valuable lessons and you learned during this time?
Okay. Well, conferences start up in different ways. And it was at PyCon in, I think 2008, maybe 2007 in Chicago. And a bunch of us from Ohio bumped into each other at the conference and said, oh, Ohio, that's cool. And we started to say, we love PyCon US so much. I wish there was something else. What if we had a conference in Ohio? PyOhio, we could call it. And we all agreed that sounded fun, but I was the one who was crazy enough to say, and we're going to do it. We're just going to go ahead and do it. And we did. And my approach was very much the simplest thing that could possibly work, if you've heard that phrase from open source. We didn't have swag, we didn't have sponsors, we just used a lecture hall in the library, all sorts of things that we didn't have. We just threw something together, and people came, about 100 I think the first time, and they had fun, and they appreciated it, and a bunch of the people who came said, I would like to help out next year. And so the next year it was bigger, a little more professionally done, and just every year, with each year we got more participants and more volunteers who brought more of that polish that we didn't start out with. Now there are some conferences that hit the ground running, and from the very first one they feel like they've got all their ducks in a row. That was not us. Either way works, but that stone soup thing where people, I couldn't have known that people were going to appear and bring their energy and enthusiasm, but they did, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, communities are very important. So in these terms, creating, organizing, and promoting developers' communities is a remarkable endeavor. And in your opinion, what are the most rewarding aspects of building these, nurturing these communities?
I think seeing something grow that, started out as a personal cockamamie scheme, like, oh, I have this starry-eyed idea, and then it becomes real, and then there are people coming from all over the place to participate, and one day you walk into a building and there are hundreds of people there and you think, they came here out of something that I got the ball rolling on. That's just like, that's kind of an ego trip, to be honest. But they're not just showing up, they're bringing so much enthusiasm and intelligence and love. And that just really makes it such a thrill.
Oh, so cool. Well, let's go to talk about data engineering and data science. So, what do you envision for the future of this data engineering and data science? And yes, are you any emerging trends or technologies that excite you about this?
There's a bunch that excite me. I'm not sure I'm good at predicting the future because I'm thinking back and like everything that has happened has surprised me. So I don't know why I would like predict the next thing. But I have noticed definitely that in the past, it seems like a lot of energy went into saying, this technology is better, that technology is better. Like, oh, NoSQL is better than SQL, or my database is better than your database, and that sort of thing. And now it seems like the energy is more that each of these has some really cool aspects, and we can introduce them to each other. For example, a lot of the NoSQL techniques are available in SQL databases now. A lot of the big data technologies support, for instance, SQL and the techniques that are more traditional, so that it's no more, well, you'd better learn MapReduce. No, it's like you can take the skills you know there. And so I think that that's going to keep on going, and there won't be so much friction between the particulars of the technology you're using aren't going to separate you out into a little silo. You will be able to use the insights from other areas in data engineering, even if you're not particularly working in the place they originated. I would like to see that. There's also going to have to be, I know there are huge needs, and I don't know exactly how we're going to tackle them. Not so much in the raw quantity of data as like, oh, how can we get through, this many terabytes? More like, how can we distinguish what is the part of this data that's actually useful and necessary? How can we, say, okay, this is the data that we really need, and unbury it from the countless data sets that it could just vanish into. I wonder if machine learning is going to become big in that. I mean, machine learning will fix everything, right? It's certainly a problem. I don't know how that'll work out.
And also the ethical part of the data.
That too, right? Yeah. And I don't. Boy, that one really. I don't even know where we're going to go with that. There certainly has to be a lot more tracking. I would love the idea where every piece of data comes with the full provenance. Where did it originate, and what steps did it go through? How was it processed? Who has the right to say what should happen to it? It would be great to have a world where that was attached to every piece of data. That's going to take a lot of work.
We'll see what's going to happen. Yeah. We are curious to know how you are finding your experience at PyCon Colombia, and how has it been for you so far, and what are your impressions of the event and the community here?
It's been fantastic. Honestly, I mean, I was excited to come, but it's been so much more amazing than my expectations. Everybody is really friendly. The organizers are almost embarrassingly kind. I tried to buy myself a Coke yesterday, and one of the organizers was like, no, I'm buying it for you. And then I really love Bogota. It's just so alive. I'm glad we're staying for some extra time. Definitely going to use it. I'm going to be getting back on the plane is going to be disappointing, and eating food in the USA again is going to be really disappointing. I'm not sure I'm going to eat for a while.
Finally, do you want to tell us a story about this?
Okay, the Chelnik story. Okay, so this is kind of an example of the heart and soul in the user community. Chelnik is the PostgreSQL mascot elephant. One of the Postgres developers crochets one of these and puts it in the charity auction at each conference he goes to. Ages and ages ago, I got one at a Postgres conference. He was my good little friend, and then I lost him at PyCon in Cleveland, out on the streets in Cleveland. I was heartbroken, and last year at PyCon US, there was the PyLadies auction. This little guy came up for auction, and a friend of mine, a coworker from back then, won him in the auction and brought him straight to me. Becky Swagger. Becky, you're terribly cruel. You're so kind, it's cruel. It made me cry. And so he's he's adorable, but for me, there's also this story.
Oh, nice you have it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Catherine, for your time. I really enjoyed this talk with you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm loving this. Yeah.